Oh, bloody hell. Bloody hell. So it is essentially the morning after, it's not quite the night before, but a day to forget in Manchester United's history. Manchester United's history. And I think this is probably the sort of day that we look back at it. I think today is the day where you really see a club that is well run, well structured from top to bottom, beat a club that is stature wise much bigger, but is getting it wrong on every single level. Every single level. And this smaller club that's well run has beaten the bigger club in every single duel, battle, face off, comparison, everything. Manchester United were made to look like a very, very, very small and insignificant club that's never seen a trophy in its life before. We were made to look like a club that has never seen the Premier League before. We were made to look like a club that has never once competed, played a difficult game, faced a tough opponent. Never, never, ever, ever in its history. And a lot of fans in this godforsaken fan base, I think there's perhaps a little bit of hope that perhaps there is a beginning to a mutual understanding that these problems that we have at this club won't be fixed with a simple managerial change. It's like with the saying, the more things change, the more things stay the same. The more managers you change, the more this becomes a habit that you never actually get success. The problems of yesteryear come back to haunt you again. And it really does feel like we are there right now. And I've got to say that I've listened to what other people have had to say about this, and one thing that I can agree with is when Mark Goldbridge said the problems at this club, there are no quick fixes to it. It's now like a cancer. It's terminal. The problem is terminal. No cosmetic surgery will save you. No cosmetic surgery will save you. You need the open heart surgery. You need the whole brain transplant. You need the whole goddamn thing changed. The whole thing. And usually, and this is something that I've picked up on as well, is when people say, "Oh, the club's in crisis, the club's in crisis." It's an overused phrase. It's a very heavily coined phrase. A lot of people say or have said, "Oh, Liverpool, the club is in crisis. Oh, Chelsea, the club's in crisis." Maybe I've described the situation as a club in crisis to describing a team's shortcomings. But I think what situation we're seeing right now, this is what you call a club crisis. This is what you call it. Ten Hag has said there is no club crisis. I think a crisis is not a fair term to use, but I think it is. I think the fact is that we've known the problems, we've known the root cause to all of our woes for the longest time. We've known where we've been going wrong. Well, some of us do. The rest of us are still trying to figure it out. But we're at a stage right now where I think a lot of fans are actually strongly considering boycotting, supporting Manchester United until change comes around. And we're at a stage where it's really forcing people's hands here, where it's like the reception at Old Trafford was very. It just feels like we've never really seen a reaction to proceedings of a match like what we've seen at Old Trafford ever in its history. And I mean, we're talking about a manager that, like, most people in this fan base back him. They say, look, you know, Ten Hag, he's the man to take us forward. I want to believe that as well. I want to believe that Ten Hag would be the guy to take us forward. But, the crowd's reactions, the mutual feelings, the moods, is like we went through the motions yesterday. Rasmus Højlund subbed off, I think it was 61st minute or something like that. Boos in reaction to a substitution. There's not many managers in United's history that have been booed for a substitution. There hasn't been many at all. You could literally count on one hand. Could count on one hand. Boos at full time, but you know what? The manager was clapped off because he was one of the last people to sort of head down the tunnel. The manager got clapped off. The players, the performance was booed. It was honestly surreal. And I think the whole situation is like we're past the point of anger. I think we're at a state of fear. A state of fear where the future of Manchester United Football Club is seriously uncertain. Because we've got a sale process going on at the moment where we're sort of seeing aspects of this fan base fighting for a club to have a guaranteed future. Whereas with the Glazer ownership, the future becomes more and more uncertain with every passing day. And to take it back to the initial point that the problem is terminal, no manager change will fix anything. It won't fix anything. And I think that's what most people are sort of waking up to now. I think most people are starting to see the bigger picture. Like the problems we encounter with the playing squad today are the same problems that Ralph Rangnick encountered, the same problems Mourinho encountered, the same problems Ole Gunnar Solskjaer encountered, the same problems Louis van Gaal encountered. All of these managers, all of them different philosophies, different tactics, different approaches, different mentalities, all of them are different. You would associate managerial problems being stemmed with there being different problems per manager. But the problems we're seeing are the same thing. The problem never changes, the manager does. The problem never changes. So sacking a manager won't change anything because the problem still remains. A mentality issue at this club, and I would want to say that it's just with the playing squad. To be honest, every level of Manchester United Football Club has got this mentality issue. Everybody. Every single level. It's rare for that to be the case. It is very rare that every level of a football club at this level has a mentality problem. And the worst thing about it is, let's tap into the people that say, well, Ten Hag out, sack the manager. So the people that I've called out for a long time in Richard Arnold and John Murtagh It would be up to them to find a replacement manager, one that's going to turn the tide, change our fates, turn the club's fortunes around. This is a big, big decision to be made by people that I've said they don't make good or bad decisions, they make no decisions. And I fully back that. I fully back that these people don't make decisions. They don't want to, because they know that they would have to hold themselves accountable if they did. So instead of taking the chance, biting the bullet, instead of doing any of that, let's delegate it. So if a problem occurs, at least I can sort of share the blame a bit here. But that's the problem. You replace a manager, but you're entrusting people that don't actually have any spine to them to actually make a decision. Not a good decision or bad decision, a decision. A decision. The appointment of Ten Hag was stewarded by Ralph Rangnick. He recommended him. Murta went and got the deal done. Ralph Rangnick is the reason we have Ten Hag. Ralph Rangnick saw a potential to a project at United working with Ten Hag as the manager. But that was in hindsight to him having control to actually moving all the chess pieces around, right? To having control at a club, to having power at a club. He had a picture, he had a vision, but he never got to enact it. So we essentially got the perfect manager, but we kept everything else that was wrong for the project in place. And we got rid of the successful recipe, or the recipe for success. We got rid of that element, which was Ralph Rangnick. Now, the question really is, what's next for United Football Club? Because Ralph Rangnick, I think, when he was talking about fixes for the club, and he was talking about cosmetics, a little bit off here, a little bit added on there, sort of like the quick fixes, a little fine tuning. I don't think he was actually even talking about referencing just the playing squad. I think he was referencing the whole club, the whole thing. And he'd be factually right if he was referencing the whole club. He would be correct. The whole club. And I've said it. I don't think I said it on camera, but I've said it. Where it's like, if we get the new ownership, every single human being with a pulse at this club should be sacked. Literally, the only person that starts the next day at work for Manchester United, right, is the owners. It really feels like it, that every single person with a pulse needs to be sacked because, like I said, the mentality problem is not with the playing squad on its own. It's not with the manager on its own. It's with everybody. Absolutely everybody. And I've heard that the people that, leak things out to the public who are employees for Manchester United are saying that the club is in complete disarray. From an outside perspective, looking in, it looks a shambles. The squad looks a shambles, performances, managerial decisions, all of it looks a shambles. They're saying, you think it's bad from the outside. Wait till you see it on the inside. This is worse tenfold. So, a problem we now know is starting from within, and it's now heading outwards. We've seen player power plague the squad, but it's the whole thing is really, really toxic. The whole thing. The root cause to all of these problems, the root cause to everything, absolutely everything. Not 99.99999%. We're talking 100% of everything wrong with Manchester United has been caused by the ownership of the Glazers. Everything. Every time you have a criticism for Manchester United, right, and you want to say, oh, it's the manager's fault, well, actually, take it further steps forward than that, you'll end up back at the Glazer. You'll end up back at the ownership. You'll end up all the way back there. That's the thing. People only don't want to look at what's in front of them. They don't want to look past that because all roads lead back to Rome. All the roots of every problem you witness, you see, you experience, you hear at Manchester United Football Club, all of those roots, they channel back to the ownership. They channel back to the ownership. Everything. Absolutely everything. And that's the thing. The problem at United is that it's got cancer and it's terminal. Really, really is just terminal. So we've got to cut the whole fucking thing out. The whole thing out. Remove the Glazers. Remove Richard Arnold, John Murtaugh, everybody that's on that board. Remove them. You'll probably have to remove the manager as well. Remove all the coaching staff, all the medical team, all the players. Hell, the club shop people as well. The club shop employees. You probably have to remove them as well. They've probably got way too many stories to tell. Way, way, way too many stories to tell. They might start talking about stuff to people mutually that work in the club, and the word will start travelling around. You might have to actually sack it's what I said. Sack everybody. The only person, if you have to, if it's Sunday night, right? Everybody with a new owner takes over, right? Let's say, for example, there are 100, 200 employees at the club, right? With the new owner, Monday morning there should be one person, two persons, or one consortium employed at the club or running the club. There should be like 5 people. There should be 195 sackings overnight if you want to remove the problem. That's how bad the situation is. And we talk about transfer windows with, buying and selling entire squads in one summer and how tough that is to do. We need to sack a whole club and build a whole club overnight. Overnight. Because that's the thing. Every element of Manchester United Football Club is toxic. It's poisoning everything that comes in through the door. The manager has been poisoned. Casemiro been poisoned. Bruno Fernandes poisoned. Everybody's been poisoned. Højlund's going to be poisoned. Amrabat's going to be poisoned. Who else? Onana's going to be poisoned. Reguilon, I mean, he's only here for a season-long loan. He'll probably be poisoned by it as well. And he's only here for a year. That's the problems that we're facing. Everything. Absolutely everything. I will read some comments now. Jamino, big ups to you, mate. Good to see you. That display yesterday was absolutely shambolic. It is, but it is absolutely full, I will say, full representation, and it is exactly what it is from what you saw, right? A state of the club, right? A smaller club has shown the world that Brighton might as well be a bigger club than Manchester United. Really. Really, like we're at that point. Um, don't know how Scott McShite and Martial are still at the club. They are both awful. Scott McTominay, right? A lot of people who are apologists for this guy, right? Superstar for Scotland, right? Had 21 touches in 86 minutes. 21 touches in 86 minutes. Played 17, yes, 17 passes, 15 successful in 86 minutes. How is that remotely possible for a midfielder in the Premier? How is that even remotely possible for a midfielder in football? How is that possible? How can you be so uninvolved in the game, in the most critical area of the pitch? How is that possible? It's not possible. It is unbelievable. And people want to say, well, this guy, he's still got something to offer us. No, he hasn't. He absolutely hasn't. Maybe you now start to see or understand why. Well, I was so desperate to see this guy sold. I was happy for him to go for absolutely free if it meant it. You know, I said I'd prefer if it was McTominay being sold than Fred. At least Fred, you get at least a good game here and there. It might be inconsistent, but at least there's something that you can give on a pitch. At least he ain't Mr. Invisible. Scott McTominay literally does not want to play for Manchester United. Tell me otherwise. If you want it, you go and get it. That's the whole premise of being a professional footballer. When you want something, you go and get it. Scott McTominay, it's all PR. It's all words. Oh, I love this club. I love the badge on the shirt. You fucking don't. You actually don't. You might be an academy prospect. You don't even like this club. You don't like it because if you did, you'd actually be pushing harder. You'd be running faster. You'd be fighting more. You'd be getting on that ball more. You'd be asking for it more. You'd be demanding it. You'd be demanding of your teammates too. You'd be fired up. But you concede the game by hiding. You hide on a football pitch. If you really want to hide that much, just ask Ten Hag, can I go play for the under-21s? Can I go play for them? Because it seems to be that's where I still am. I still seem to be playing for the under-21s. Martial's just Martial at this point. And I mean, like I said, with every player that comes in through this door, the toxic culture and nature of this club, it poisons everybody. So everybody that was good before Manchester United will come to Manchester United. They will leave as shit. I promise you. I'm not even trying to say this because I'm annoyed or frustrated. I'm saying this because it's true. It's factual. We're past opinions about this. It's factual. Every player that leaves United does not get back to the same level that they were before United. They don't. They don't exceed that level. They don't. It's no secret that if it's a younger player, it's because they've still got potential and they've still got room left to grow. They've still got room to actually improve and become a better player. But everybody else, where is all the players that have left Manchester United? Where have they all ended up? Has anyone gone on to play for Real Madrid? Anybody gone on to play for Barcelona? What about Bayern Munich? Anybody gone on to play for them? Anybody lifting trophies anywhere else after Man United? They're not. They've not. They're not gone on to bigger and better things. They absolutely haven't. Big ups, bro. Congrats on 100. Thank you very much. Literally, I had a notification on my Gmail from YouTube this morning. YouTube decided to come and congratulate me as well and sent me an email. So big ups to YouTube. On the road to 200 subs. Big ups to everybody. Hoyland looks promising. before United, there was, you know, possibilities that you could grow into being something special. Um, it could, there's potential there, but this is Manchester United. We take potential and we essentially hold it over a campfire and we watch it burn. We watch it go up in flames. It's like it's the culture of the club. This is what Manchester United is. A lot of people talk about DNAs, DNA this, DNA that. Oh, this is the Man United way. Those years, those that like that term, like, guys, we've got to stop. We've got to stop talking about Man United DNA. It's dead. Manchester United Football Club that the world of football knows is dead. It's gone. It is actually gone. What is left is just a big, complete, and utter curse to football because no other club has every single level, and I'm talking about a club in the whole world. There's no other club on the entire planet that has every single level of its club rife with defeatist mentality, with a mentality that is, I don't want to be here. Every single level. And I'm talking from the owners to the club shop to the employees that work for the mega store. They like they're rife with it as well. Get all of them gone. Get all of them gone. Everybody. Afternoon, Stephanie Griffiths. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Oh, speaking of well, I mean, I would have done this show yesterday, last night, but I had the splitting headache from coming home from work because I was at work at the time the game was going on yesterday. Actually came home with a splitting headache, and I just was not feeling like I wanted to give myself an even bigger headache by having to talk about stuff. So I was like, just going to kick back and rest, see how I feel in the morning, and thankfully the headache sort of diminished, so I can at least, get riled up a little bit, and not have to put myself into a coma or something. I might have to burst a blood vessel though if it comes to Bayern and we get slapped up. Big ups Tony Ibarra for that comment as well. So literally, it's probably going to be tenfold worse against Bayern, and that's on Wednesday. That's literally 3 days away. Glazers say mission accomplished. If they've got a bank transfer, some money going into their accounts, honestly, they don't care. They don't care what happens to United. They would happily see the door shut of this place. As long as they get some money to take away with them, they'll just go on to their next business venture. That's all they care about. Lucky to have won 2 Premier League games, could have lost all 5. We could. We absolutely could. Fine margins are why we are sat here with 6 points from 15. We could and probably should, realistically, I'm not joking about this, we should realistically have 0 points from 15. We should be rooted to the bottom of the table. Right, we have had fortune at every single turn. Fortune. We have been fortunate. Right, we are fortunate to beat Wolves, right, and we're fortunate to get the chances that we did against Nottingham Forest. We're fortunate that Forest didn't try to close out the game. Right? We're fortunate. To be honest, if we hadn't sat back when we scored 2, we could have got something at Old Trafford. You could have. We absolutely could. We absolutely could have. And that's the thing. That's the biggest woe, is that we could literally be sat here with 0 points from 5 games. 0 points from 5 games. We could literally be sat there. The fact that we are not is honestly a miracle. Right? And do you know what? I'm getting this itch. Well, I want to scratch this itch to say that perhaps the season, right? The season might be worse than Chelsea last season. Because it's toxicity from top to bottom. It's toxicity. Everything is toxic. It's plagued everyone. It has plagued everyone. I can't predict Manchester United Football Club to go out and win games of football, right, when they don't think like winners. They don't think like this game we have to win. They don't think like that. So they don't want it. And because they don't want it, why should we back a team to win a game if they don't want it like how we want it as fans? They don't want it. They just don't. So why predict anything? What's the point in thinking, oh, what's the scoreline going to be? Could United win? Could United lose? Could United draw? There's no point. We should just be resigned to, defeat every single game because there's nothing to go off of. There's absolutely nothing because the mentality is plagued. It's toxic and it's not just at playing level. It's not just coaching staff. It's the board and the owners and everybody else. Everybody else that works at Carrington as well. Everybody. Imagine if Ten Hag considered dropping either Bruno or Rashi. Rashi needs benching to sharpen, wake him up. Can't afford to carry wasteful, no defensive discipline from players. Team ethic needed at the moment, and that's the thing. It's these same defenses. We talk about defensive discipline. Defensive discipline in this game, with players not running back, not tracking runners, and all of that. That's a defensive discipline that's been prevalent in Manchester United squads for years, for over a decade now, for about a decade. It's been prevalent in our squads for about a decade because, again, it's mentality from top to bottom. Like no one wants it. Like no one cares enough to run back. And as I see a clip doing the rounds on Twitter where it's like Brighton playing this comfortable possession football with the goalkeeper and all of that stuff. And we don't press them, like we're not doing anything. Rashford just gets walked past by a Brighton player, and he's just sort of like, yeah, don't worry about me. I'm just invisible. I mean, Rashford needs dropping. He needs dropping. I mean, the fact that, yeah, it's like I saw the lineup, Bruno playing on the right, straight away, I was like, yeah, no, that's just not it. That's just not it. That's not it. It isn't it. And, I mean, mentality-wise, Rashford's got it as well. He's got the loser gene. We might as well call it the loser gene because, I mean, let's be honest, they play like losers. They do play like losers. But a team ethic, it's like the conversation, do you sack a manager, replace him? But if you sack this manager and bring him into this squad, what actually changes? Do we actually change anything? Do we actually progress? Does a club ethic get created? I mean, we saw the makings of a beginning to a club ethic, right? Ten Hag comes in, he wants to impose changes and all of that. But at the end of the day, the weight of this board just comes crashing down. Whoever it is that's managing, you can't do what you need to do at this club to create your ideal team. So Ten Hag, a lot of people want to say, Seven Hag, oh, sack him, he's a fraud. Pep Guardiola would be sat here. Like, let me tell you one thing. Manchester United with Pep Guardiola versus Brighton with De Zerbi, or actually no, I'll create another one just after this. Pep Guardiola, manages Man United versus De Zerbi and Brighton. That scoreline is still 3-1 to Brighton. Jurgen Klopp is the manager of United. That scoreline is still 3-1 to Brighton. Ten Hag manages Brighton. De Zerbi manages Manchester United. That scoreline is still 3-1 because it's you want to say, but it's like the setups, the tactics, the coaching, all of that, the game plans, De Zerbi, oh, he outclassed Ten Hag, and he did. He outclassed him. But the culture at this club, you concede one goal, everyone stops. Everybody stops. The heads drop, and you have lost the game. Guys, it's 1-0. You lost the game because you conceded to defeat when the first goal went in. You conceded the game instantly. And I'm sorry, no manager in the world is going to coach that issue. That, by the way, same issue, 5, maybe 6 different managers, the same issue. And these are different managers, by the way, different philosophies, different tactics, different approaches, different ethoses. Always the same issues. Always the same issues. They like the wage. That is all they are about. Most of our players are, yeah. They'll take the wage and they'll happily fuck off home. They'll tell their social media teams, "Oh, can you put out a statement? Can you apologise to the fans that I don't care about? Cheers, thanks." If not in Ten Hag. Yeah, afternoon, Big T. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Rashford needs more work on being able to shrug players or shoot through players. I think he needs to get his head up. He needs to get his head up. He plays like he's in a tunnel. Like there's no little exits here or there. There's just forwards. There's nowhere else to go. We've seen it multiple times this season. The guy doesn't keep his head up. He doesn't look for a pass. He's shooting from impossible angles. He's shooting when he shouldn't be. There are teammates with guaranteed goals scored with one pass, and they're easy passes to make, and they're not looking for them. It's not that he's seeing them and he chooses the wrong way. No, he doesn't look for them. Rashford, as much as he can be top goal scorer and all of that, it's all well and good. If you're not trying to look for a teammate, then you're costing the team more than you're getting for your team. If you score a goal a game, you are costing your team more. So Rashford, he's starting to hinder this team. He's beginning to hinder the team, and that needs changing. That needs changing fast. Casemiro, Eriksen, Leacher looked leggy and overworked. Casemiro has definitely had a massive drop off of form. He has. He's had a massive drop off of form. But it's like, do we sit here and say, "Oh, Casemiro, he's finished. He's a finished player," or do we just say, "Well, he's a victim of the system. He's a victim of the mentality. He's a victim of it all because he's got Scott McTominay, right, who's partnering him, who managed in 86 minutes 21 touches of the ball, right?" So essentially, Casemiro, United played with 10 men yesterday. They played with 10 men. Eriksen, who played ahead of McTominay and Casemiro on average, has got further to run. We know Eriksen doesn't track runners. We know he doesn't. So we've got an invisible player and someone who doesn't track runners. Even Bruno Fernandes will track a runner. Even he would track a runner. We saw some defensive work from Bruno against Arsenal. Some defensive work. Eriksen doesn't track runners. We saw it against Arsenal. We saw it again today. It's like the 3 goals were scored by Brighton were the same goal. The same goal. McTominay doesn't want to play football. He wants to hide. So kick him out of the squad. Kick him out of the squad. Boot him out. Get him gone. I don't care. Sack him if you have to. Pay off a contract. It's better for him to not be at this club, right, than for him to be here as an option. Like, get him gone. Martinez, again, it's like our defense gets bad ratings because our midfield is non-existent. Literally, it's a 4-2 formation, or it's a 4-1-1 formation. It's essentially a 4-1-1. McTominay doesn't exist, and Ericsson is too static. He's not able to cover distance. He can't cover the hard yards. So it's just Casemiro on his own. So again, Casemiro might be awful, might be playing awful, but any midfielder is going to be made to look bad if they're playing as the only midfielder on the pitch, because the other one's hiding. One of the other two are hiding, and the other one can't run. Broken double helix, not a DNA. Well, anything that semblance or resembles that of DNA for Manchester United is non-existent. It's gone. It's dead. The Manchester United of winning trophies is dead. We need to stop talking about getting back to somewhere. We need to start talking about creating newfound success. Like, rip it all up and start from scratch. Because nothing that we try to go for a blast from the past is not going to work anymore. It's not going to work. Folks underestimate Brighton. They lose good players and replace them well. De Zerbi has an amazing mentality and work ethic into that team. They do, and that's what's crazy is after the first goal, usually what you get is when you concede a goal, straight away the response is that you push onto that team that's just scored that goal. Like, you've got to answer, you've got to get the response, you've got to get back on top. Manchester United had control, right? The goal was against the run of play at the time. It was. It was against the run of play. But what happened was when the goal went in, Manchester United conceded control of the game as well. So Brighton actually got even better with that goal being scored. It's mental. It is crazy that you barely ever see that from a football team in a competitive game of football. When they concede a goal, usually they answer, they get a little bit of momentum, just something, right? A little bit fired up, a response, right? But we actually conceded control of the game because of it. And you know what? The worst thing is that most people predicted Brighton would smash us. Most people predicted before the game. I predicted Brighton would beat us. It's like I know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen with United now. That's what's crazy. Usually, it was with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's like Forrest Gump, a box of chocolates. I feel like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. That was what United were under Ole. That's what United were under Ole. You can now predict everything that's going to happen. United have become predictable. You know what United you're getting. You know how to play against them. You know how to beat them. Literally, sometimes you don't need a 90-minute performance against United. Just score one goal and that's it. The rest will fall into place for you. Seriously, we're at that stage. I'm seeing a manager in way above his depth trying to look like he's in control. We're in a relegation battle. I see it coming. I don't see anything changing anytime soon. Hope I'm wrong. The manager is working in a toxic environment and he looks defeated. He absolutely looks defeated by the job. And the problem is that everybody that has ever worked at this club before him has been in the same boat. Literally, every manager gets defeated. Everybody that takes this job is defeated. Got to get the owners out, then a massive clear out. Yeah, it's going to be years until you get back to what you was. With new ownership, it will. With new ownership, it will take us years. But that's the problem, is that we're sort of asking the question, is this takeover going to happen? Are we going to get the change that we need? It really feels like we're sat at a point right now where, like, if the Glazers don't go, nothing will change. But because the future is now completely unsustainable for Manchester United Football Club from an operational standpoint, we could be heading towards complete and utter catastrophe. And I'm talking about, Bury Town, Leighton Orient, right? Where, their team slip down the table, they slip into obscurity, right? The damage gets near you can't fix it. Manchester United, right? People are saying because of how big United are, oh, look, relegation's impossible. Administration is impossible. Liquidation is impossible. Look at how big United are. What is stopping from this club that's heading that direction? What is stopping this club under these owners, right, who are well renowned with financial troubles or causing financial problems, right? What's stopping them from leading this club into financial ruin, where we get put into some unbelievable places that we never thought were possible? That's the future that we've got. The scary thing for me is that Brighton did not even play at their best. No, they didn't. They didn't, and that's the thing. Just, just think like winners, and you win. Literally, make judgment after 10 Premier League games. Next up, Burnley away, Palace at home, Brentford um, at home, Sheffield United away, City at home. In the last minimum, 13 points. Um, Now, God only knows. Um, to be honest, I think with judgment, as far as judgment on a manager goes, it's not. It's kind of futile to sit here and say, Ten Hag needs to be sacked. We need to change manager, because we don't fix anything. We legitimately don't fix anything. And I think a lot of United fans have started to wake up to that. They've started to see that picture. They're like, I used to say, just sack the manager, get a new manager in that knows how to play football, and we'll be fine. We now know that it's not going to be fine, because the problems don't get started by a manager. They get started by the squad that has been plagued by the lack of mentality or ruthlessness from a board above them, where player power is rife at this club, right? And that's the thing. We thought we saw good steps being taken last season, but now we're back. I think we're beyond square one. We've actually gone into the negatives now. We've actually regressed. So I think it's futile to want a change of manager. I do. I believe it's completely futile at this point. Our problems go way, way, way beyond that. And like the saying that I've used already, the more things change, the more things stay the same. The more managers you change, the more problems will stay the same. Um, Literally, we've got to find a way in which these owners can be kicked out. Just whatever it takes. Make some sacrifices at this point. This is how bad it is. Maguire would have improved that defence yesterday. I don't think so. I don't think anybody really changes that, because the game was lost with this. The game was lost with that, and a midfield that hasn't got any balance, any coverage. I mean, McTominay and Ericsson were invisible. Literally, it was a two-man midfield who played with 9 players yesterday, essentially. And any team that tries to do that, they're written to lose. It's written in the stars. Rashford needs selling. Has never been good enough. Do you know what? That's actually kind of funny. Is that a lot of people, when Rashford was in this phase, he was like this under Ralph Rangnick, if people remember. He was like this under Ralph Rangnick. He was linked, or there was a story that came out saying his brother's spoken to PSG representatives, and some people are just like, "Yeah, no, we sell him. Go, get rid of him. The guy doesn't want to be here." We're back in that. We're back in that boat now. We're back in that boat. People started to call out Rashford again for the same stuff he was being called out for originally. So who's actually stupid? Like I said, that Rashford should have been sold back then. I kind of think I'm a little bit stupid now for actually saying, well, maybe we should keep a hold of him and try and work something good with him, because it's like he works for a man. That's like, do you know, with the people who's like, oh, Benny McCarthy, oh my god, big man Benz, he's improving our shooting, he's improving our finishing. No, he hasn't. Benny McCarthy hasn't changed anything. He hasn't changed a damn thing. If anything, we've gotten worse. We've gotten worse. We've actually gotten worse. That's what's incredible about this. We've actually gotten worse. The finishing's gotten worse. And Rashford, I mean, seriously, I think this time. Listen, if we got to make some big changes, Rashford is on that. He's on. He's on the chopping block. Rashford's got to go. He's got to go. He has to. He has to go. He's on the chopping block. His mentality's been plagued. Has been plagued for a while. He's proven it under Rangnick. He just, he goes to a state where he just doesn't care. Now he's started to not care under Ten Hag, so you got to get him gone. If you wanted a player who could score goals but contribute nothing else to the team, we would have kept Ronaldo. And you know what? It's actually kind of funny is that I've seen a bloke, what is it, Mike LUHG on Twitter was talking about that. He was talking about Ronaldo because I mean, man's gone back to scoring goals for fun. I know it's Saudi Arabian League, but he's still scoring goals for fun. But he called the club out for what it was, got sacked, and we sort of sit here in reflection to his comments, and we sort of sit here and say, well, technically he was right. He was true. He was right. The Glazers don't care about the club. The owners don't care. But because they don't care, that same mentality just is reciprocated through all other levels of the club. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I thought you started well and Brighton turned up and game over. I think Brighton began the game thinking they were playing mighty United. In reality is that they ain't. We started a different formation than what they expected. So De Zerbi changed formation, and just like that, against a run of play, they got a goal to sort of find a bit of breakage. But what they didn't expect was United to concede the game from that one goal being scored. They were thinking, right, we should expect United to come after us now if we score this goal. But we didn't. We didn't chase them down. We didn't go get what we're worth at all. We just handed the game to them. Rashi never has his head up. It's not good enough. It's not. And that's the thing. It's starting to cost other areas of the team. Højlund, we talk about, Højlund this, Højlund that. Mate, he's not gonna have service. Graveyard shifts yet again. He's not gonna have service. So again, another striker is gonna go get in games where he doesn't score goals, and we're gonna be sat here saying, "Oh, well, that striker's really bad. That striker's really useless." Well, it's because he's not getting the ball delivered to him. He's not, and you see things like what Rashford's been doing, and it's all going to pot. Rashford is a Forrest Gump type player. I think he's sort of slipping back into bad habits, mate. He is, slipping into habits. But I'll tell you what, a real Forrest Gump player is Dan James, literally Roadrunner. Tell you what, Ricky would love him back. He would love him back, Dan James. Did you see that little turn from Højlund? He passes to Rashford and then he runs towards the penalty spot, pointing, and began Rashford begging Rashford for the ball. And what does Rashford do? Shoot. Exactly. Rashford just doesn't try to look for his teammates. He doesn't do it at all. His head's down. It's route one for Rashford. And man, that guy's lost. That guy's absolutely lost. The last thing, what's next for Rashford? Is he going to start going on political campaigns again? Is he going to start running for Prime Minister again? Is he going to start becoming MP Marcus Rashford again? I mean, what's next for him? What's next for him? He's been here before. He's been here before, and he drove the fan base to wanting him sold. But then people would, Rashford starts scoring a couple of goals, a little bit of a feel-good factor, and everyone's like, "Oh, you look stupid for wanting Rashford sold." Who looks stupid now? Who got the last laugh now? Rashford's gone back to his old ways. Who gets the last laugh? The ones that see right through his game, know what he's about. I mean, Marcus Rashford, he ain't 18 years old. He's not 20 years old. And what is he, like 24, 25 years of age now? It's not good. It's not good enough. Surprised he didn't just run out the ground. I mean, you might as well. You might as well. I wish you would run out the uh, mate, literally, just run, non-stop run. You probably need to go down, get rid of the prima donnas and rebuild. I wouldn't be against having a team, right? That's not world class. That's got no world class players in it. It's not got any great players in it. Just a team of workhorses, right? That you can see they actually want to give everything for a shirt. I don't care about whether they win or lose games. I see that they're actually trying to win, right? That they're trying to win because you build something from that, because it's a work ethic and it's everybody on the same page, right? That's the starting point, and I'd be happy to see that right now. I would I would honestly be happy to see that right now because nobody cares anymore. All about big wages, and this board, they talked about it. They said we're not going to be fleeced by players for stupid wages. You know, got rid of Ronaldo, imposed an anti-dickheads policy. What? Is he a dickhead because he called you out? Is he a dickhead because he spoke truth about the club? Is that what you're mad about? So you imposed an anti-dickheads policy because of Ronaldo's interview, but that's exactly what it is. Is when someone speaks the truth, they become a dickhead because they challenge your authority. They challenge what you're about. It kind of sucks, doesn't it? Um, Saw that Rasmus wasn't impressed. He wasn't. He wasn't. Big up people. Big up Wolfang, mate. Hope you're doing well. Um, got your game starting at 2 o'clock today. I'm probably going to do a watch along for one of the two games this afternoon, whether it be Bournemouth Chelsea game or the Everton Arsenal game. I might do a watch along for one of those two games, just because I've not done a watch along in this channel for a little while yet. Found Yeti 2. Big ups, gents. Thanks to everybody. Rasmus is going to end up very frustrated not getting the service after making runs. It's like we said, it's the graveyard shift. Graveyard shift. Just doesn't get the service. And every striker, I mean, Ronaldo got made to look bad. Martial's made to look bad. Lukaku, Rasmus, pending, going to be made to look bad. About Weghorst as well. I mean, everybody's made to look bad who starts in the striker position. It's like Rashford when he plays at striker, looks bad. Everybody looks bad. Everybody. Absolutely everybody. We all see it coming. Yeah, we did. Everybody saw it coming. Højlund looks impressive to me. Højlund wants it. The sad thing is that bad mentality is going to get him. It's going to poison him. You're going to start to see that level, that enthusiasm drop with every passing week. Feel for Ten Hag. The off the pitch stuff is crazy. 3 players taken away for non-playing reasons. All the injuries. And that's the thing, by the way. That's the thing, is I said this summer transfer window that the manager wasn't backed. And he wasn't backed. He wasn't backed. He wanted players sold. The club went to go get rid of them. The players said, fuck off. So the club were like, okay, you can stay. The manager's like, what the fuck? No. Get rid of them. Sell these players. I don't want them. I don't want them. But now he's got an awful mentality amongst his players, an awful mentality. An awful mentality. And you know what? It's impaired his decision making because he's making some wacky decisions as well. He is making some wacky decisions, but it's like we've seen this all before. It's like I don't hate Mourinho. I don't hate LVG. I don't hate Rangnick. I don't hate Ollie. I don't hate Ten Hag. They've all been victims of this club, and this club is a destroyer. It takes everything that's good and destroys it. This club is a destroyer, and this, do you know what? It's anti-football. We talk about, Atletico Madrid. Oh, they're terrorist football. They're terrorist this. They're anti-football this. They're anti-football that. Man City, oh, serial winners. They're anti-football this. They're anti-football that. Manchester United destroy everything that's about football. So, if anything, there should be a banding together of clubs, a union of clubs and fans and all of that, coming to kick Man United out of the footballing league because they're absolutely ruining everything that is about football. We're killing it. We're absolutely killing it. At least if you talk about all sports washing this or ruining football, that Man City, 115, but at least they're trying to win at the highest level. They're trying to accumulate sporting acumen, right? And they're doing it better than the best, right? Manchester United, we're worse than the worst. We take everything that's good in football and we destroy it. And it's ruining careers, it's ruining livelihoods, it's ruining fan experience, it's ruining everything. Manchester United is anti-football. That's why when we call it a banking firm, forget football club, it's a banking firm. That because the only thing that's cared about at Manchester United is money, and we see it yet again. We've seen it yet again. Football does not come first at Manchester United. It just doesn't. Player power equates to bare minimum effort. It does. It absolutely does. Because what's the manager going to do? Oh, we sack a manager, but whoever else that comes in, we own them. And that's the mentality of the players. Pep Guardiola. I mean, do you know what? If I was anti Pep Guardiola, if I hated Pep Guardiola, do you know what I'd tell him? Do you know what I'd want him to do? I'd want him to become the manager of Manchester United because his philosophy, right, would be ruined by this club. The great, masterful Pep Guardiola reduced to absolutely nothing, reduced to nothingness by this club. Pep Guardiola would be reduced to atoms by this club. Jurgen Klopp would be reduced by this club to atoms. Simeone, that bastard mentality, reduced to nothing by this club. Everybody defeated by Manchester United. We are fantastic at defeating people. We are fantastic. But we used to be defeating the opposition. That's what we used to be all about. Defeat the opposition, be the best of the rest. Right? Win. Glory is the sole achievement, the sole goal of elite football is to win. Beat everybody else, right? Be better than the rest. Manchester United, they continue to defeat everyone, but it used to be the opposition, no more. The only people getting defeated now are those that serve the club. We have defeated ourselves, and we continue to do this to everybody that comes in. Every manager, every player, every new fan, every new fan. You see, the fans, right? The fans that are just starting out with United, the only United they're going to know are the ones that are played by loser mentality. And that's what sucks, is that all the United faithful grew up on United being successful. But the only success from defeat or defeating or beating the opposition right now is the Glazonomics defeating the opposition. That is football. Glazonomics beating football. And it's in the form of Manchester United. And that's why I believe that all fans should band together to get the Glazers out of the sport. Get them out of the sport. Because anything that they do in football is going to result in catastrophe. Højlund does look good, needs time. Again, I'd love to agree with you. I'd love to say, yeah, Højlund does need time. He'll come good. This is Manchester United. Any other club, 100% what you say is fact. But this is Manchester United. We're not the same thing. We're not what people think we are. We're just not. A big section of your fans told you what Glazers was going to do, and nobody stuck together. While FC United of Manchester is a club born out of the Glazer takeover, run by Manchester United or former Manchester United fans, they made their own club to represent to the fans what a club should be and how it should be run. Created by the poor, never to be stolen by the rich, much like football. Leave my O's alone. They had bad owners too. Brisbane Road 5 minutes away from me. When Mount comes back from injury, he must deliver. That one signing will sink Ten Hag. It's like with Arteta and Kai Havertz will be the hill that Arteta dies on. Mason Mount could be the hill that Ten Hag dies on. It's our worst start in Premier League history, I believe. That catastrophe is here. Now it's already started. And you know what? Because nothing will change and everyone's acknowledged that, or everyone is in the process of acknowledging it, everyone's starting to swallow that bitter pill, right? And accepting it and seeing it for what it is. This can't get better. It's not allowed to get better because it would just be against the laws of physics for this to get better. It's only going to get worse without change because that's it. Without the change of ownership, cut out the cancer, that cancer will only spread. The people who run the club operations day-to-day basis don't have spines. They don't make good or bad decisions. They make no decisions. They make no decisions. Those people, by the way, if you're Ten Hag out, you're trusting them to find a suitable replacement. They would be so stupid as to picking Lampard as a fucking managerial replacement for Ten Hag. They would be that stupid. I'm not kidding you. They would be that stupid. Those are the people you're putting your faith and trust in if you say Ten Hag out. Those people. That's why I can't be Ten Hag out. Because I'm trusting people that I don't like. I don't like them. I don't like them. They shouldn't be here. They absolutely should not be here, but there's your future. Change your manager, there's your future. And that's the thing. There's no point in changing things. There isn't. Because the same problems come back to haunt us. They will. Think he's sunk him already? No one wanted Mount at United from what I've seen. Not really, no. I don't think there's anybody that was actually excited for the signing. It's like Arsenal fans, right? Kai Havertz, no one understood the signing. As soon as he became an Arsenal player, everyone's like, oh yeah, love him. You're a fantastic player. Better than Kaka, better than, Dennis Bergkamp, better than Robin Van Persie. I mean, what the fuck is it? I mean, Mount takes the number 7 shirt. Some people said that Mount's better than Ronaldo or something. Have we heard any of that yet? Man United can't afford another rebuild, and that's an interesting thing because a lot of people say, "Oh, Manchester United spend 1 billion on transfers." Do you want to know the facts? What by the looks of it, from what I've seen, this is my takeaway from what I've seen on the finance sheets. Manchester United have paid about just shy of £2 billion, about £2 billion. Half of that goes towards players, right? The other half has been paid to servicing Glazer debt. So the Glazers put debt on the club, right? They put the debt on the club, so the Glazers are responsible for the debt being put there. The club, till this day, are still spending time and money paying off those debts, but they're only getting bigger. That's what's scary, really fucking frightening. The debts that we've been paying off since 2005, yeah, are still only getting bigger. That's frightening. And we've spent nearly £1 billion in servicing debts. And we've still got hundreds of millions of pounds worth of debt still left to pay off. And that's still getting bigger. Do you understand now why we need to take over from someone who will pay off all the debts, all of it, so that it is debt zero? That's the critical. This is mission critical now. We are in end game. Manchester United Football Club is in end game. It's in end times. We are not far away, much closer than a lot of people care to think, to the death and the expulsion of Manchester United Football Club. We are closer than people think. Because it's all in the finance sheets. It's all in the data sheets for where the money goes. And the thing is we've started to no longer being able to afford to do this, afford to do that, afford to do X, Y, Z. Can't afford to do this, can't afford to do that. So now the money stops. When the money flow diminishes, everything becomes more expensive for us because the demand for us to pay things off grows even bigger. And so the mountain that we climb only gets taller and taller and taller until we perish. Until there is nothing more for us to do. The manager can only operate in his environment, I get that. But decisions he is making whilst in that environment are what's off. That's the worry. But it's an influence decision. And that's the thing. It's like if we get a new manager and he starts doing the same thing. It's like if Pep Guardiola is the manager and he starts doing decisions like this, we're back to square one. Because this is the thing. The manager, the problems we see for the manager have never changed despite who it is that's been managing the club for a decade now. The problems have always been the same. The road that a manager goes down on the line to getting sacked has always been the same. Always been the same. They always end the same way. So it's like he's starting to make those decisions. The writing's on the wall. But changing a manager, what changes for the football club? Because otherwise, we might as well have short-term memory loss. If we sack a manager, we forget that everything ever happened before, and we pretend like it's a brand new clean slate. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's the big problem for fans. Big up Jamina, big up Steph, big up fans, big up Wolfang, the MVP of the channel, 100th subscriber. Don't forget. Rashi has his new contract, how many times do players get improved contract and don't perform or put a shift in? And you know what? That's a lot of time. A lot of times we see decisions with contracts or big pay increases and all of that, but we don't see the same level of commitment. I mean, sometimes the contracts can ruin the players. Like we see it with younger players. Give a young player too much money too quickly or too big a contract too early, you don't see that same hunger, desire, or fight from that same young player as a desperation to try and do well. Keep them hungry, keep them wanting more. Rashford has been given so many privileges and has been rolled out so many red carpets. To be honest, I'm not surprised that the guy just has stopped caring. He's sort of given up now. Probably the Saudi League is the last place for Rashford to go. We were playing walking football. I saw clips of that as well, Big T. I saw clips of it as well in that game. Several instances where players are just walking around. Only PSG were interested in Rashford, which says no other Premier League teams or top European side, Bayern and Barca, would entertain him. I think it's probably because they just do background checks on behaviours. I think they might see with Marcus Rashford what sort of a player he is, and probably don't want to bite the bullet with him. Danny Welbeck or Rashi? That's the question. Danny Welbeck, actually, as much as he's clowned as being the Bambi on ice or something, Danny Welbeck is actually, he actually puts shifts in for Brighton. He puts shifts in, right? The guy's not a fantastic player. He's not a great player. You see the effort, though. You see the effort, and that's what's mental. I'll tell you what, De Zerbi probably wishes he had someone like a Rasmus Højlund in his team. Probably wishes that he had Rasmus Højlund. De Zerbi might wish he had an Arna in his team, in his Brighton team. Brighton plays some fantastic football, but without taking the players that are played by, toxic mentality, there's probably a few players he might actually really, really wish that he had in his team. You got Champions League. Lol Kane is going to have a field day. He is. I mean, it's at the Allianz Arena, and United don't do well away from home. Thomas Tuchel, right, might drawn against Bayer Leverkusen at the Allianz Arena in their last Bundesliga game. Mate, I mean, Christ Almighty, that could be a 5-1. But I'm perceiving that we score a goal. Yeti Bayern away Wednesday could be carnage. It could be. On Welbeck, that guy now always scores against United. He does. He got this. We'll do signings. We can get Champions League. We would get smashed in Europa Conference. I'll tell you what, we'd probably have a lot of shock results. I'll tell you what, shock results, right? They'll say, oh, stunned. It's like the Sky Sports YouTube channel with the highlights of the match. They titled the video Brighton stun Manchester United. I'm like, well, they didn't stun us. We knew this was coming. We knew what we were in for, and we just went through the motions. That's it. That's all it is. But Sky Sports, shock. It's a shock, guys. LVG left on a trophy. He did. He left on the FA Cup. He won us the FA Cup. The last time we won the FA Cup. But is what it is. Front three, Garnacho, Højlund, Palestri, in my opinion. Do you know what? That'd actually be an interesting kind of thing, because I know Garnacho actually tries to look for his teammates. Palestri tries to look for his teammates. I'd actually be interested in entertaining that sort of team. I'd probably do it in the Carabao Cup game against Palace. see just how that front three play and how they gel together. Because I know with Hoyland, if he plays good hold-up play, you can work to getting, Garnacho and Palestri more into the game, and you see more of those two. I know it's not going to be with the stuff of like, oh, everyone's just heads down and just run forwards. It'll be interesting. Might not deliver us the success that we might be wishing it would. Probably not, but it'll be interesting to see it nonetheless. Um, Window opened. United linked with Onana, Kim and Jay, Caicedo, Kane. If we were proper run a club, we'd get 3 out of those 4, not 1 out of those 4. Kim and Jay was a contract release clause in July for 2 weeks, and I think it was 11th of July for a very good price, and we turned our noses up at it. Right, we turned our noses up at it. So Bayern got a free run at him. Caicedo, I think Caicedo and Kane would have been a little bit difficult to do from a financial standpoint, but Kane, we know how much he went for. We know how much we would have roughly needed to pay for to get in Kane. But we could have had Kane, Onana, and Kim and Jay, a couple of other signings in there as well, because a competent club would have sold most of the players we don't need. Most of the players who are finished at this club. They would have sold most of them. Plus, you see with the way that a team like Man City act, and it's an interesting comparison. When Pep wanted a highly regarded fullback, Cancelo, one of the best left backs or fullbacks in the world at one point, and Man City were more than happy to just like, yeah, off you go. With Manchester United, we'd be trying to hold on to him for dear life. But that's the thing, is Man City, they've got to move, they've got to change with the times, they've got to constantly be evolving, keep staying on top. It takes work. It takes a lot of work to get to the top, and it takes even more work to stay at the top. And Man City, they will do what they need to do to stay at the top. And a competent club would have sold way more players than we sold this summer and bought more to what the manager wanted. Mourinho did better than Ten Hag with a worse set of players. That's why I want Ten Hag out. While the Glazers remain, our managers should still be held to a standard, even if it's just for the basics. But with Mourinho, as much as he did a better job with worse players, and I think his achievements is like I've said, Mourinho has been a more successful manager, a more successful first season as well than Erik Ten Hag. So as far as success for a manager or wise for Manchester United, Mourinho still to this day remains more successful than manager for Manchester United than Erik Ten Hag is. I just feel like we've disabled every manager that's ever come in anyway. So we've never got to see the finished article for any manager. And the problem is that we've never, because we're never seeing just how good a manager can be for Manchester United, because we're disabled by our board, because they don't care, the ownership doesn't care, no one cares. No one cares at this club. Every manager, who, regardless of who it is completely futile. So I believe in a manager making the best of a bad situation, which is why I will get frustrated with Ten Hag and decisions that he makes. Absolutely. I'll get really frustrated. I got frustrated with Mourinho. I got frustrated with LVG, with Ollie, with, to various extents with Ralph Rangnick. But at the end of the day, when we look at what the root cause of all of these problems, it always comes back to the ownership, and nothing will change. And that's got to be the message now. Nothing changes regardless of what we do. The only change that is needed is the owners. Right now, the only change needed is the owners. Change anything else, nothing else happens. And we can say, look, sack Richard Arnold, but you then have to rely on the Glazers to actually appoint someone else. And we know that it's going to be a bad choice. It's going to be a bad appointment. It's like with a manager. Richard Arnold, sack Ten Hag. You're backing him, Richard Arnold, to hire another manager. Well, who's he going to do? Who's he going to go get? Frank Lampard. They'll probably do that because it's cheap, it's easy. Frank Lampard can. How good are you at deflecting the blame away from the owners? It's this kind of the boat that we're in right now, and it really is shit. It's so shit, and the real losers in all of this, the real losers through all of this, thick and thin, is the fans. Always the fans. Just keep thinking worse things happen at sea. Imagine being on a boat sinking and then realizing you have a terrible football team and club. That would be a nightmare. Can't disagree with that, to be honest. I mean, it's like I've seen. It's like when people say, "Look, if someone questions your loyalty, just tell them I support Manchester United Football Club." They will like if you tell a girl you support Manchester United Football Club, that's my loyalty. They would marry you tomorrow. They would marry you tomorrow. Uh, the most loyal partners in the world, the most loyal partners in the world are Manchester United supporters. Don't forget that. Being a United manager is a poison chalice. It is. It is. The worst part is, and the biggest slap in the face is Glazers don't care or see a problem. They don't. Well, they know there's a problem. They do know that there is a problem, but they don't care enough to fix it. That's what's crazy. They don't actually care enough to fix it because it's money first for them. Because it's like they, this is the crazy thing is that they're proving not to be very good sellers. They're proving not to be very good sellers because they're faced with financial challenges, but they're not like, oh well, this is really bad. This is really bad, but you know what? It's kind of all right. It'll be okay. We'll try and ride out a storm. Bored without board, yes man. Everybody's a yes man. Everybody's a yes man. Manager is a yes man to the board are yes men to the Glazers, and that will never ever change. Whoever it is, even Mourinho had to sort of do those subliminal messages in press conferences to try and sort of feed it out to the fans, and the fans weren't understanding. It's like Morse code. We don't understand it. What are you trying to tell us here, man? And now we see it. It's translated. We now say Mourinho, he was crying out for help. He was crying out for help at that time. LVG crying out for help. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer crying out for help. I mean, as much as he put out a stupid statement backing Glazers and saying, oh, they're nice people. Well, we know that's not true. And we know you don't believe that. We really do know you don't believe that. Joking aside, it's sad to see, to be honest, from an outsider perspective. It is. It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. And it's like what I said earlier in the stream. From the outside looking in, it looks horrendous. It looks bad. It looks tragic. But the people who work for the club say it's even worse from the inside. And I don't know what words to use to describe that. I just don't know. I don't know what to say. It took us 23 years to get things back. It's no joke when you fall. Them leagues are not easy to get out of. It's not. It's like when you need to get new ownership, you need to get the ownership that cares. It's all about the people who run you, who own you, who care about you. That is literally base one. Cover base one. Everything else with time. Sometimes it will take it will take less time. Other times it will take longer. These things will vary. They will vary. But we just need to have the people at the very top, that people that are caring about what it is that they have. They care about the club that they own. They put their money into something and they feel it emotionally, right? They care about it. And that's that's the first step. That's the first step for Manchester United Football Club? Do you think it would help you to go down? Do you know what? It's an interesting conversation to bring up because we've had this debate in the United fan base about the Glazers having second doubts or second guessing the sales of the club because the club was performing well. Because, oh, Ten Hag, look at what he's doing. He's winning us trophies. Oh, we might not have to sell, because we might get something going where the money comes through, right? We get the money through. We saw how crazy and hectic things got, right? When Manchester United stopped winning, right? They were losing games, losing them badly. Everyone was up in arms. Everyone was losing it, absolutely losing it. And the Glazers knew that. And people were ready to go and do some crazy shit to make their voices heard. Mental shit. The game cancellations might come back again. They might. If losing becomes a habit here and we get battered and it becomes so toxic, game cancellations with even more crazy protests. Because that's the thing. The results on the pitch do influence feeling. They do influence mood. So people will act. They will react. They will start doing crazy shit. And that's what I'm believing. Because this can't get better. This is only going to get worse. So the fallout for every game that we get battered in or lose is going to get worse. Right? Riots, protests, game cancellations, maybe vandalism at the club shop. Who knows? Who knows how far that fans are going to go for their club? Who knows how far they're going to go? And maybe if like results go that way and we go, teetering around the relegation zone, maybe fans will snap. Maybe we will snap, and all rhyme or reason leaves the fan base. Everyone is absolutely wild, feral. The fans get feral. Game cancellations left, right, centre, home, away, whatever it is. And listen, the FA might be like, oh shit. They might fine us for days. We might actually get expulsion from the league for, misconduct. Shit could get that far out of hand, and people will want to write it off and say, no, that's not possible, won't happen. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's football. You see crazy shit happen elsewhere in the world. What's stopping it from happening here? If things get that bad, what's stopping it from happening here? Nuclear option: get Roy Keane in the dressing room before, during, and after matches. Uh, I mean, maybe barring, um, some black eyes in the second half of games, quite possibly. I mean, you do need a bit of fire, a bit of fighting in the dressing room. Love Roy Keane, but these pansies nowadays would cry. They would. Release the Triffids again. That was in Manchester, I think. Triffids. Just trying to have a look at what the Triffids are. I have no clue. I'm being told that it's what is it? Some band or something? Pretty sure it's something like a band. Or giant alien plot. Ah, okay. Giant alien plants. Daffodils. Okay. Triffids, yes, United players are blind. I'll tell you what, the Triffids, maybe the Glazers came from the same planet that the Triffids came from. Giant alien plants. The Glazers are just lizard people, like Mark Zuckerberg, lizard man. TV series from ages ago. Joel and I mean, fuck me. Avram with that sort of scrotum face, paedophile, Jeffrey Epstein looking haircut that he's got. That guy literally is an alien. Absolute alien. Honestly, absolute cretin. God only knows. God only knows how that guy's not been locked up in Area 51. Oh, bloody hell. Anyways, I'm going to probably wrap things up there, people. Don't want to go on for too much longer. I'm going to look into trying to do a watch along for one of the two games today, just because I haven't done a watch along for a little while yet. Um, Alf, alien life form. Alfred. Alfred the alien. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up there, people. Big ups to everybody that has tuned in this early Sunday afternoon. Again, apologies that this show didn't happen yesterday. I wasn't feeling too great yesterday, but thankfully things have slightly improved on my end today. So feeling a little bit better with myself now. But obviously, some football matches this afternoon. I don't know how I'm going to feel watching some other football games because it's either going to be like, oh, I enjoy watching football, but then again, it might just be something to incur depression. Oh, these other clubs, they play football, they play competitively. Oh, I'm watching something that I don't have myself. Maybe that sort of thing happens, but we'll have to see. But big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Big ups to everybody who's liked the stream on 7 likes. If you're watching on playback, try and get that up to 10 likes, people. Big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for the love and support. And also, again, thank you for the 100 subscribers. Milestone achievement, and we move onwards and upwards to 200. That is the next stage for fuck me, for this channel. Well, 101 subscribers. We've gained another subscriber. So yeah, big ups to everybody. Thank you very, very much for watching. It's kind of like Biden. It's like Vladimir Putin as well. He's got himself a copy. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Big ups to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. You too, Longhead Yeti, big ups, Big T, Wolfang, Jaminio. Big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in and keeping me good company. We'll see you again, most likely, not guaranteed, but most likely later today. Big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.